Can you start by introducing yourself?
I did my undergrad in computer science and engineering from Manipal University. Then I interned at Schneider Electric for about 5 months. And after that, I worked for Tesco for another 8 months. Currently, I'm pursuing my master's in computer science, specializing in machine learning at Columbia University, where I've completed 2 semesters and I'm going to my third semester.
Why did you join Columbia University?
Machine learning was my area of focus. That's what I wanted to do for my higher studies. Columbia had a really good machine learning track. Track is basically an area of focus. Columbia also has some really good faculty and some really cool labs. The faculty was the main reason I wanted to join Columbia to research with them. Professors like Michael Collins, David Blay have done some really amazing work. Anyway, machine learning is a really interesting field just on its own. With the right balance of faculty and infrastructure, it has been an incredible opportunity for me to get into Columbia.
So you told earlier that your area of focus was machine learning, right? So did you know about machine learning during UG?
No, not exactly. My undergrad did not prepare me sufficiently for machine learning or even artificial intelligence for that matter. You can't just take a look at your college curriculum and say, oh, that's what I'm interested in. There are a bunch of things happening in computer science which are not taught in undergrad. It's very important for you to do your own research as well. What I did is I read tech forums and websites like TechCrunch, Hacker News to know what's happening in the industry, what research is happening, and what are the current fields of research. I spent most of my time and energy during the last semester doing my undergrad. For people who would like to get into masters without taking a break, I would suggest reading up on all these things from the second and third year itself.
Why did you take a break after UG?
One of the mistakes that I made during my undergrad was not to do internships. I wasted my summers. My GPA was kind of average. I felt that I needed some work experience on my resume to strengthen my profile. I also wanted to do a few internships just to get an idea about how the industry is. Because going for my master's is a big investment. I didn't want to jump into it without knowing how and what exactly I'll be doing for the rest of my life. And I felt that it's a good decision because I got some experience that I could use to strengthen my application. And also at the same time, I understood how to work in the field. And that helped me get a clear insight while applying for my higher studies.
You mentioned that your CGPA was average, right? So what was your CGPA?
My CGPA was 7.82. As I mentioned, it's an average CGPA. I've just felt that just with the base of my CGPA and a good GRE score, I wouldn't get a very good college. So I had to make up for it. And that's why I wanted to go for internships.
How important is CGPA and GRE score to secure MS?
For Columbia, I feel they did look at my GRE and other aspects as well. All other universities that I applied to, GPA was a main factor. Columbia did give me an option to apply with a higher GRE score. I had a higher GRE score, 332, and that's what helped me get into college.
So is there a way to get around a bad CGPA or an average CGPA?
Even if you don't have a very good GPA, make sure your GRE is excellent. Spend time preparing for it. If you're interested in higher studies, a good research paper will go a long way. Lastly, taking time to write your SOP. I feel if you make sure all these three aspects are solid, you can overcome a weak GPA, definitely.
So how important is SOP?
SOP is an important aspect of application process. To be honest, I do not know how much it will help you get into a college, but I'm pretty sure that a bad SOP will knock you out from even considering you to get into a college. So if your SOP is not focused on what you're planning to do, it will definitely affect you negatively in your application process.
You mentioned a bad SOP. Can you elaborate on that?
Okay, a bad SOP is something like if you'll be like in the SOP, oh, I want to get into your college because your college is good, your college is reputable, and not exactly giving specific points as to why you actually want to pursue that program. What facilities or professors attracted to you to apply to that college, then that actually hurts you. Just writing an SOP highlighting all your achievements is not enough. That they can see in your resume or your transcript if that's an option. Because universities look for people who have the right background and who have the right interest in the program and not just the best students. If you write a recipe tailored specifically for that particular program, then that will definitely help in your application process.
How did you frame your SOP?
I talked about how my work experience will help me with my higher studies and how I build the right set of skills, like what I've learned in my internships and full-time experience. Stuff like working in a team, being collaborative, learning upcoming and latest technologies that are used in the industry. Mentioning what you learned in the internship is more important than writing who I worked with. Like even if you work in Google or Microsoft, that wouldn't help you if you cannot explain what actually you learned and how you made the best use of opportunity.
How did you get opportunity to do internship?
I was lucky that a lot of companies had come to campus and I got in through campus recruitment. Both my internship and full-time opportunity I got in my 7th semester itself. But one thing I would say is that just going through your basics, keeping your basics strong, say for computer science, algorithms and data structure is important. If you have your fundamentals strong, that will really help you getting into companies because they don't expect you to know everything. They know that you're just starting out in that field. They do give you some leeway, but definitely you have to have your fundamentals strengthened for getting into internships.
What did you do during your internship?
In Snyder, I was a part of a team that was building a human computer interaction tool. I got a lot of idea about how human computer interaction works, which is an upcoming field right now. I learned about that technology. I understood how to work in a team. After that, I was working in Tesco, where I was developing an API for their transport and tracking team. Tesco has multiple platforms for delivery, and to unify all of them, we were building an API. So both were software development related work, but again, both were different fields.
How did the work experience help you?
I got a better idea of what I wanted to pursue. First of all, it strengthened my application. And secondly, I understood how the industry works and how the day-to-day responsibilities are for my work. Because I didn't want to take the decision of jumping into my master's without actually working in the industry. And yeah, it was a good experience.
Now, when you applied, I'm guessing you did not apply only to Columbia University, but also to other universities. Can you tell me how many universities you had applied to?
I had applied to 9 universities. 4 of them were ambitious, 3 of them were moderate, and two of them were shortest.
So, how did you apply to these universities?
I actually did my own research. I initially started with the US news rankings because I wanted to go for my master's in the United States. And in that, I looked at the top 50 to 60 universities in computer science. And then I looked at location. I felt that looking at location was important because once you're applying for internships and jobs, if the university is close to the industry, it will help you. So I looked at universities in California, I looked at universities in New York, I looked at universities in Chicago as well. Then I looked at what I wanted to do. So my main area of focus was machine learning. I was also interested in this data science. So I looked at universities which had concentrations in their program. Then I came up with a list of 15 to 20 universities. And in that 15 to 20 universities, I narrowed down based on the faculty and infrastructure. And then I came with a list of 9 to 10 universities.
How did you research about the facilities in the universities?
For each of the programs that are registered, I went to the website. I literally went through every page in the website. I looked at faculty, the labs that they have, the initiatives that they've started. Like New York had a data science institute, Columbia had a data science institute. If universities have specific infrastructure in place, it shows that the department's focus is in that field. I also got a sense of how the program is, who the program was intended towards, what the program was. I also recommend reading about it. Also talking to your seniors if that's possible. That will be good, in fact. I do not know too many seniors. I just knew a few friends of mine who were doing their higher studies. I asked them. So talking to your seniors and going through a website should be enough. But if you still have doubts, then going through Reddit forums, Grad Cafe should probably help you a lot.
Would you like to give any advice to people who are looking to go for MS?
I would say that you have to give attention to every aspect of your application. Firstly, I would recommend you to actually concentrate on GPA. It's the single most important aspect of the entire application process. In a lot of engineering colleges, there's a mentality that GPA is not that important. But you have to maintain your GPA because it shows that you have really worked for the past 4 years. And that's really important for your application process. Apart from that, take some time for your GRE, give it at least a month, even if you're comfortable with maths or English. Just give it a month, make sure you really do it well. Anything about 320, 325 should be good, especially with the 165 quant. And then don't take your SOP and letter of recommendation for granted. I know a few people who wrote their LOR by themselves and got it signed from their professors. That's not the best way to go about it. You should get in touch with your professors early on in your second and third year. It's important to get an LO from someone who actually knows you better rather than getting it from someone who's having a higher ranking like an HOD in the department. Also working on your SOP, that's really important. You have to proofread your SOP, send it to your friends, even your family, because they know you better. Even if you think that they have not done before, they have not gone for higher studies, it is important to get their idea on it. My parents gave me some valuable insights for my SOP because they knew some of the things that I had done, some of the behavioral characteristics that I didn't know. So I feel it's important to get insight from people that you know best.